What's going on, my super fam? So Ayaka is basically back, and hopefully any of you who are preparing to pull for her for the first time, or you're trying to get her constellation or getting the mid splitter, I do wish you good luck getting them early. Now today we have a pretty interesting video on Ayaka once again, because it is a pretty much updated team build for Ayaka. Because yes, especially after patch 4.0 there has been quite a few changes towards some of her best teams that we can play on, which is why we have today's video looking into her current best meta teams, so that you have really good options to play around with your Ayaka. Now guys, I usually would spend this first part of the video talking about some of the most important points regarding the character. However, I've just made a very in-depth video regarding this, discussing some of the biggest changes Ayaka had towards the meta and how she's faring up towards some of the top tier DPS in the current meta. So if you wanna understand more about Ayaka in the current patch, be sure to check out this very specific video right here after this video. But for now, we're just gonna be focusing on specifically on Ayaka's best team. So first off, we have team 1, which is Ayaka, Charlotte, Furina and Shanna. This is a pretty much newly built team after patch 4.0 and more of Ayaka's freeze team currently. We first off have Furina, who is one of the best buffer that was introduced in patch 4.2, and yes, most of the DPS character would love to have Furina on their team, and yes, Furina works absolutely fantastic on Ayaka's team. Now, even though Furina isn't really the best character in terms of hydro application, however, that's more than enough to help Ayaka with freeze team. A lot better than working along with, character like Xingqiu or Yelan if you're having your Ayaka more specifically built toward burst DPS. Plus, of course, we already know that 75% basically free buff of damage that Ayaka has from Furina. It is very important. Shanna, guys, as usual, basically a must have for invested Ayaka teams, because yeah, she is literally the best cryo buffer in the game and can't be missed out on Ayaka's team. And then we have Charlotte, which is one of a new support cryo character that we have. This slot used to be for character like Diona, which yes, she is still an absolutely amazing character at healing and shielding capability. However, the reason why we have Charlotte here is that she's able to provide very good healing in terms of team-wide healing, and on top of that, she is also capable of doing pretty decent sub DPS damage for you, together with having her on Favonius Codex helping your team out with energy recharge level, and yes, could be a very good support on this specific Ayaka team. Do keep in mind is that Ayaka team usually requires you to have a lot of energy requirement, especially if you're not running Ayaka on, sets like Emblem Fate and on Blizzard Strayer. Then all three character Ayaka, Furina and Shanna requires a tremendous amount of energy funneling. So do keep that in mind. Other than that, guys, this team works absolutely well with two of the best buffer here to help Ayaka out and a perfect healer as well. Up next, we also have a very good Ayaka team and a personal favorite of mine, which is Ayaka, Shanna, Furina and Jean. Kind of a bit more invested than the team 1, because yes, we have Jean as a 5-star character. Obviously, guys, the more constellation we have on this specific team, the better and more fun it is for you to be using your Ayaka. Now, Shanna and Furina are basically in the same role. What makes it pretty good different here is going to be Jean, for she's now going to be adding in terms of 4-piece VV shred, and yes, team-wide healing, which is perfect and what needs to be have on Furina's team. Jean here can be holding on to a Favonius sword, which is fine because she's more focusing on toward the support side for providing you enough energy recharge level for Ayaka, Shanna and Furina. Not to mention, guys, if you do have high constellation Jean like C2 and you're more focusing on an on-field DPS Ayaka, then yes, Ayaka would love to have the attack speed increase from Jean. So overall, this team just works fantastically well with each other. Just a bit of a downside is that the two teams we've just discussed don't really have any kind of crowd control. So if you are really in a tough group situation, we generally have to work a little bit on grouping enemies. Moving to the third team, we have Ayaka, Bennett, Xiangling and Shanna, basically a melt team, or if you're more on a free-to-play side, that is going to be Rosaria in place of Shanna. Now, Ayaka melt team has always been some of the highest damage capable team that Ayaka has, and yes, I would say that it still is at this point in time. Overall, I would say it's not as gonna be expensive as the other mono or freeze team that Ayaka has access to, because yes, Benny and Xiangling are basically two 4-star characters, with the last slot only usually that's gonna be for Shenhe. Very easy team to play around with, you just need to set everyone's burst up and then Ayaka doing her thing on field with her burst casting. The downside with this team is that if you happen to already have a Bennett at C6, that's a little bit gonna be troublesome, because yes, Bennett does override Ayaka Cryo Infusion, which really sucks up your melt team composition. So if that does happen guys, your Ayaka is gonna be having to rely on burst DPS build, which is something that you have to keep in mind. Moving on, we have Ayaka, Shenhe, Bennett, and Kazuya. This is basically kind of like a mono cryo team for Ayaka, because even though we have Bennett, we're mostly not going to be doing any melt and focusing having Shenhe, Bennett, and Kazuya being the buffer here on the team. Yes, and as you have guessed it, this is a very powerful team for Ayaka, one of, if not the best, in terms of focusing on Ayaka doing very high damage number, since yes, you basically have 3 of the best buffer in the game focusing on buffing Ayaka. Pretty easy team to be playing in as well, because you first only need to cast Shenhe's EQ to Kazuya's EQ, setting up your Bennett's afterward, and then Ayaka being on field doing everything. Moving on, we have our 5th team, which is Ayaka, Charlotte, Xingqiu, and Lynette. Now guys, I leave the 5th slot basically focusing on an absolutely free to play team for Ayaka. If guys you're basically, you know, new to the game, or you're not really too lucky with your 5-star character pool and you only have access to decent number of 4-star character, then this I would say is a more perfect free to play team that you can run alongside with Ayaka, though this is more going to be geared toward a DPS no more and charge attack Ayaka build, because you do need to do normal attack weaving for Xingqiu's activation. But yes, Charlotte is going to be the healer on the team, and Lynette is technically the best anemo for free to play on a freeze team Ayaka, because she has access to attack buffing, which is really nice, as well as that 4-piece VV shred and a bit of off-field damage for you. So overall, that is a pretty nice team for free to play that you can build in the current patch. So guys, I would say those are some of the best Ayaka team that we have access to in the current meta. Ayaka team have quite a lot of changes over the years that she has been out, and now after the introduction of Furina, she is more powerful than ever. I really hope that those are some of the teams that you can work along with, and that I have give you new ideas to build your Ayaka teams. If you have more fun teams that you're using your Ayaka on, feel free to leave it down in the comment section, as I love to see more new teams guys. Once again guys, I have a very specific Ayaka discussion in terms of her current meta in this video, so be sure to check it out right here. If you're new to the channel guys, don't forget to subscribe, as I post a lot of fun Genshin Impact videos and helpful guides for you. I really appreciate you guys staying with me to this part of the video, and with that I wish you a super day, and I'll catch you on my next video.